Hello, communicators. Welcome to episode 8 of the audio series, The Communicator. Let's dive into the world of corporate communications from an in house lens. I'm Yesenia Reinoso, your host, and thanks so much for tuning in. If you are new to the show or are a general member, hit that subscribe button. You can also share, like, and comment on this and previous episodes at your disposal. Spread it far and wide, mis amigos. I'm available on social media, so follow me on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. All my handles are listed in the episode description box below. And finally, this episode and all previous 7 volumes are now available across all primary podcast mediums. Every new episode comes out on the first and third Mondays of the month, which you can hear on your laptop, mobile, or any portable electronic device. Wow. I still can't believe it. The fact that we have made it to the halfway point of season 1 of The Communicator, 8 episodes in. It's just astounding that what was once a vision has now blossomed into a full-blown audio show. And this is just the beginning, my friends. We are just commencing telling the story of the communicator. My goal is to make this show all about you, with you in mind. Every content, every topic, every episode, I want to ensure that you are getting the most for your buck. And I also want you to feel like part of the family, a community. And so having you involved in this journey means the absolute world to me. I will never stop repeating this, but I am forever grateful for you just being a part of it and for listening day in and day out to the communicator. Everything I do is for you. And so if you want to be involved in the show, any feedback, comments, suggestions, anything that you have in mind, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. All of my contact info is listed in the episode box below. Everything that I do from here on out, I want to ensure that I am putting out the best content possible and also building a community for all of us to come together and just simply talk about corporate communications and ways for us to better tell our story authentically. So, thank you all for being a part of the ride. And like I said, we're just getting started. I also want to give everyone a shout out. Happy belated Labor Day. I hope each and every one of you had a wonderful, long, and restful weekend as we have now entered into the final 3 months of the year. It's pretty much a dash to the finish line. Bring on the holiday season. And finally, a couple of housekeeping notes before we dive into the episode 8 topic. First, the new short form video series, The Why Tips, debuts exclusively on Instagram on this past August 23rd, I should say. And the series is a one-stop shop of all the corporate comms tips, tricks, and tools that I have learned and still very much learning today throughout my career. So if you have not done so yet, what are you waiting for? Do it right now, this instant, literally. Yes, log on to Instagram right now and follow us at y.communicate. Again, y.communicate so that you do not miss a single episode. All new episodes will be coming out every Wednesday on Instagram. And I will also announce plans of a future TikTok account that I will launch eventually at down the road. So don't miss that tidbit. And finally, the 3rd edition of the Thought Leadership newsletter, The Legacy, has already gone out live this past week, and the 4th edition will be coming up at the very end of the month, September 29th, to be exact. Either way, if you are interested in following my brand journey and as well as why communicate, please hit that subscribe button and follow us and become an official subscriber to the Legacy newsletter. There are 2 ways to do it, either connecting or following me directly, Yesenia Reinoso, or the company, or through the company, Why Communicate. So you don't want to miss a single edition. If you're interested in advertisement opportunities or sharing free resources, all of the information to inquire and or how to proceed is listed in those 3 editions, so don't hesitate to reach out. And so with that, let's dive into episode number 8 of The Communicator, where we have already trekked through the basic roadmap for corporate communications, whether it's understanding the general purpose to formulating a foundation, building your teams, the budget, etc. And so now we are going to focus on the tools, the must-haves for incorporating real resources and tools for your communications departments. And as we all know, having these tools to effectively manage and execute any kind of corporate communication strategies is going to be critical in the ways as to how you want to amplify that storytelling across all mediums. And so, with that, let's communicate about the tools, shall we? Great. So, whether you're working in-house or in agency, I think it's abundantly clear that you need to have communication tools to formulate, edit, amplify, implement, and eventually execute whatever communications tactics that departments, especially in-house, do on a day-to-day basis. It also helps us to streamline some of the typical operations that we see, and as well as make our jobs and lives a whole lot easier. And so, depending as to the size of the team, the budget, professionals need to find out the kinds of tools that they want to incorporate into their departments, and as well as the affordability that goes behind it, whether or not it is relevant and or easy enough for the departments to obtain, or is it too expensive and they're going to have to find other options. And so for any communications department in any organization, it typically relies on a range of tools, resources, and media databases to effectively manage and execute their communication strategies. And so, regardless as to the kind of industry you are working with, there are a wide variety of tools that will help PR pros figure out ways as to how they can track, formulate, and measure results. Ultimately, it's all about the ROI, the return of investment. These tools can help PR pros pave the way towards obtaining the return of investment that is going to be beneficial in both the short term and the long term, not only for the department, but also for the organization overall. Having these resources can be key in determining those factors, and as well as expanding financial opportunities and opening up new markets. And so we're going to look further into the kinds of tools that you should have in your department, and as well as identifying specific ones that you may want to consider. Again, these are all tools that I have known and or used in the past. And again, depending as to what your budget entails, you can ultimately research and then find out as to whether or not it is applicable for your needs. Everybody has different needs as to how they want to approach different types of communication situations. And so I just want to make that clear. What may work for me may not work for you, but thankfully, because we live in a very vast communication society, I should say, there are a plethora of tools and resources that are available for everyone, and it's just a matter as to what is their preference. And so the first tool that I have in mind that we should dive into is media monitoring and analytics tools. So media monitoring software such as Meltwater, Muckrack, Cision, Critical Mention, Prowly, and so forth tracks news coverage, social media mentions, and online conversations related to the organization. For me, this is a must-have. Every organization should have media monitoring software to be able to track any kind of news coverage, social media mentions via social monitoring or social listening, and as well as tracking different types of online conversations where your organization is being mentioned. Now, you could also create media contact lists, keywords where you could do specific searches that are directly tied to your organization or your industry, and as well as and again, depending as to which media monitoring tool you have, some of them also have news distribution sites where you can distribute your press release through those avenues, and as well as to customize media pitches that will go directly to the reporter with your own flair. On top of media monitoring tools, you should also look at analytical tools. These analytic tools, some of them that I recommend and have used include Google Analytics and Adobe Analytics, measure the impact of communications efforts and website traffic. So, analytics tools is pretty much data. So, depending as to the kind of initiative or campaign that you've implemented and you're tracking the results, you're trying to see how people are engaged with it, the impressions, the reach, and as well as measuring the amount of traffic that is coming into to your mediums, whether it's to your website, how often people stay on one page, how long are people reading it, are they exploring, and so forth. All of those types of data matters, and it factors into the overall analysis as to what and how your communications are operating. I also want to make a quick mention on the media monitoring software. You also have the option to develop PR reports, and so depending as to the amount of coverage that you get from a specific campaign, you are able to customize and develop a PR report that you can distribute to your colleagues either on a monthly, quarterly, or yearly basis. It depends as to what your organization is looking for. You can also have graphics, word clouds, and many other different types of features. The second tool that I recommend for you to incorporate into your departments is a social media management tool. Having a social media scheduling and publishing platform, it really helps to manage and automate social media posts. It's basically a time saver. I have used Hootsuite, Zoho Social, Later, Buffer is also another one that I've heard. Those are all social media scheduling and publishing platforms where it pretty much gives you a platform for you to draft, edit, and publish all different types of social media content and schedule it ahead in advance so that way you could focus on other communications priorities. A definite must have, and again, depending as to what your budget entails, you could pick the right social media tool that best fits your budget. And then you also have social listening tools such as Brandwatch and Sprout Social, which I've heard, by the way, monitor and analyze social media conversations and trends. Very important to keep the pulse of what is happening across your industry. And so social media, which is the new media basically, we get news pretty much every single second. So as long as we're following through these social media monitoring and listening tools, seeing how our company is performing, any trends that we ought to hop on, hashtags that are in use, whatever it is that's going to help us further amplify our footprint is a must-have. The third must-have that I recommend is an email marketing platform. Having email marketing software is critical to send newsletters, updates, and promotional emails to subscribers. Having a digital communications line is another way for you to generate reputational management and as well as giving your audiences content that they want to listen and more importantly develop a call to action to. So some of the social media, some of the email marketing tools, I should say, that you may want to consider include MailChimp, Constant Contact, Flow, among others. I personally have used MailChimp, Constant Contact, and Emma, and I'm sure there are plenty of other boutique and more other prominent email marketing platforms that are in the market. And again, it depends as to what are your needs and wants, the budget that comes into it, and eventually the amount of subscribers or people in your mailing list that you want to bring in and eventually utilize to the best of your knowledge. The next tool that I recommend is a content management system, or a CSM for short. A CSM manages and publishes content on the organization's website. So we all know having a website is a pretty much a given. You must have one. There's no doubt about it. And depending as to the kind of website that you have, you want to make sure that your website is updated on a daily basis. And so it's really important to ensure that having a content management system that fulfills your needs, and as well as publishes content that it is easily accessible and functionable. And so WordPress is one that I've used a lot, one that I highly recommend. Duprol, haven't heard of that one, but I'm sure it's one that can definitely be looked upon. Squarespace is also another one that I have seen and used, so that is another option that individuals can take. I know that within a CSM, within WordPress, I've used Elementor, and that has been a fantastic tool, very easy to customize and publish websites to your liking. So that's also something that people may want to inject. The next thing that I recommend is a customer relationship management system, or CRM for short, something that I have used in the past. A CRM manages and tracks interactions with stakeholders, including media contacts, partners, and donors. Some of the CRM systems are Salesforce, HubSpot, Microsoft Dynamics, and so I think I might have made a mistake with Microsoft Dynamics, so apologies for that, everyone. But I have used CRMs in the past. Salesforce obviously is the go-to CRM tool. I've used it, but there definitely are other ones depending as to the amount of budget that you have. You can incorporate. Number 6 is a media contact database. So access to media databases like Cision or Muckrack for maintaining up-to-date contact information for journalists and influencers. As I mentioned back in number 1, having a media contact database is going to be much easier for you to compile the contact information of journalists. And since we all know that journalists, just like everyone else, changes employers from time to time, especially when you establish relationships with your journalists, I think it's very important for you to keep your contact list as updated as possible. I recommend perhaps maybe updating your media contact list once a month, so that way they stay fresh, and that way you'll be able to continue utilizing those contact lists the best way possible, so that you'll be able to send out your pitches and other relevant PR content. Number 7, graphic design and multimedia software. Design tools that are used to create graphics, infographics, and multimedia content. Adobe Creative Cloud, which I and as well as everybody knows is a definite must-have tool. Video editing software such as Adobe Premiere Pro, Final Cut Pro for producing video content. Obviously, I know Adobe Premiere Pro, Final Cut Pro, those are the two big ones in the market. There are also other different types of video production and editorial software, especially if you are editing videos for short form video contents for Instagram or TikTok. There are plenty of those out there. Again, it all depends as to what your budget entails, and as well as the features that come in. Number 8 is project management tools. Project management software to coordinate and track communication projects and campaigns, such as Asana, Monday, and Trello. News release distribution sites. Services like PR Newswire or Business Wire for distributing press releases to media outlets. There's also EIN Newswire, PR Log, PR Comma, an up-and-coming boutique PR news distribution site, PR.com. There are plenty of there are plenty of news distribution sites that are out there to help you distribute your press releases to generate numbers and as well as reaches. Pretty much is all about the obtaining eyeballs. Number 10 is internal communications tools, collaboration and messaging platforms for internal communications within the department. And there's also an intranet or internal websites for sharing resources and updates with employees. So messaging platforms such as Slack and Microsoft Teams, very dominant right now, have used both of them. And as well as intranet, if you have Microsoft SharePoint or any other database, those types of websites are really good to keep employees updated as to what is happening internally. Pretty much is the one-stop shop for for employees to obtain any kind of internal communications. Data and analytics resources. Access to data sources and analytics tools for market research and audience segmentation. Media relations toolkit. Media kits, press releases, and background information about the organization for journalists and media inquiries. Crisis communications plan. A comprehensive plan and resources for handling any kind of communications during crisis and emergencies. A brand guidelines toolkit. Detailed brand guidelines to ensure consistency in messaging, visuals, and tones across all communications channels. Another tool, training and development resources. Continuous training and development opportunities for communications teams to stay updated on industry trends and best practices. You can also formulate a toolkit like a brand style book. A legal and compliance resources toolkit. Access to legal counsel and complements guidelines to ensure all communications meets are up to date and standard with regulatory requirements. Next up, budgeting and financial tools. Financial software for budgeting and tracking expenses related to communications campaigns. Plenty of them out there. Number 18, media monitoring and analyst resources. The access to research reports, industry trends, and competitor analysis for informed decision making. Feedback and survey tools. Tools for gathering feedback from stakeholders, employees, and the public to inform communication strategies. SurveyMonkey is obviously one of them that I have used in the past, but there are plenty of other free and paid survey platforms that organizations can use to obtain feedback from audiences. And finally, the customer support software. Having a customer support platform for managing many different types of inquiries and feedback from the public or customers pretty much is a system where you could obtain feedback and answer it at the same time with your customers as a way to see how your product is performing and make any changes that come up. Their feedback does matter. Overall, the specific tools and resources needed may vary depending as to the size and goals of the organization, but having a well-rounded toolkit, resources, and other prominent must-haves are essential for an effective communications department. It's also crucial to stay updated with the latest technologies and trends in the field to adapt and evolve communication strategies accordingly. And that is specific, especially with the emergence of AI. We are seeing as to how artificial intelligence is being incorporated to our everyday operations. What does that entail? Is it going to affect us in a good or a bad way? How are we going to utilize it for any kind of corporate communications purposes? What are the ethics behind it? Are there best practices that are going to be interwoven into? All of these types of questions are very important to ask and as well as to see. With artificial intelligence, it makes lives a whole lot easier, especially with some of these tools that I have mentioned, and they're only going to get even stronger now with artificial intelligence in the arena. But it's also important to note that ultimately, whatever tools and resources that you bring into your corporate communications world, you want to make sure that it works, or I should say is properly functional, and as well as deliver the ROI, the return of investment, maximize the results and the impact. You want to make sure that whatever it is that you're putting out there, it's going to resonate with people. And so with that, that wraps up episode number 8 of the Communicator. Do you have any questions, comments, anything you agree or disagree with? What topics should I focus on next? Obviously, I mentioned AI, so don't worry, amigos. We are going to get into that specific topic at some point down the road. Any feedback is highly welcome. Just email me at yr.ymedia@gmail.com. The email is listed in the episode description. And don't forget to follow me on social media and on the Communicator. Hit those subscribe buttons and share, like, and comment away as we continue to elevate this audio show. Leave a 5-star rating, review, anything whatsoever. And lastly, tune in to episode 9 of the Communicator in 2 weeks' time. And I will see you on the opposite end of the corporate communication spectrum. Till then, everyone.